So two for the price of one. I could have made this into two separate videos, but I'm like, you know what? Both articles are just like my wiener, not very long at all. So I was like, you know what? I'll just make it one video. Um, so the first one, Deadline quietly admits Snow White's box office failure wasn't political after months of media spin. Because, it was all the phobes, this and isms, and people were like, oh my god, it's because she's brown. And no, I mean, people like when stories stick true to their origins. Skin as white as snow, hair as black as ebony, lips as red as blood, or red as roses in the Disney version. But the Brothers Grimm version, regardless, it was skin as white as snow. And here she gets her name Snow White because she survived a snowstorm as a baby, which is stupid. So pointing out the complete just lack of imagination with Disney, pointing out the fact that this chick doesn't know when to shut her mouth, that it had nothing to do with politics. It's the fact that people are tired of people like her bashing, the fan base and the viewer base. The chick comes out and's like, oh, I hope that Trump supporters never know peace. And we're just like, yeah, that's a great way to market. Insult more than half of the country. It seems as though the failure of Snow White might not have been political after all, despite literal years of mainstream media spin. For months, Disney's live-action Snow White remake has been lighting a lightning rod for controversy, and not without reason. Between Rachel Zegler's numerous PR blunders, the creative reimagining of one of Disney's most iconic characters, and the bungled handling of the Seven Dwarves, the studio has been in full damage control mode. The legacy media, they've been more than happy to carry water, consistently framing any Snow White criticism as politically motivated backlash. And now the film's disastrous opening weekend numbers, with the numbers in. Hello, Fluff. Potato. Hello, Potato. Hang on. Potato Chan, can you want to come up here and say hello to everyone? She's like, no. No. No, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on, Chunky girl. Hey, Chunky. Mwah. Say hello to everyone. Say hello to everyone. Yeah, you did a good girl. Mwah. You're very sweet. Mwah. Go on. She doesn't like being picked up, but she lets me because she knows I respect her boundaries and I won't keep her in my arms for very long. She's like, well, I don't like being held, but you respect my boundaries, so I'm okay with it. Where are we? Now the disastrous weekends are in. Even Deadline is quietly shifting gears, and whether they intended to or not, they've essentially confirmed that the rejection of Snow White wasn't political at all. But now they're going to be labeled as a far-right outlet because they're speaking the truth. What? Deadline is defending this? They're nothing but far-right Nazis. We need to boycott Deadline because they're just far-right Nazis that agree with Donald Trump supporters. Because they did the same thing with, New York Times and Washington Post. Every time those majorly liberal outlets come out and say something that has common sense, the left attacks them and says that they're far-right Nazis. Because these people are fucking ridiculous. There's another word I want to call them, but we can't say words like that on YouTube anyway. Let's look at what they've actually reported. The article opens with the way we've come to expect, referencing how Snow White was labeled snow woke. in vitriolic online circles, and teeing up the idea that the film's poor box office performance might be due to red state boycotts and politically motivated audiences staying home. However, buried further down, they include something far more revealing. Box office analytics firm Intelligence provided clear, undeniable data. There was no red theater blockade due to any perceived controversies with Snow White. In fact, the opposite. Theaters in red counties perform better than they would normally for a family animated film of this size and scope. Yeah, read that again. Red counties didn't stay away. They showed up better than usual, according to Deadline's own numbers. Snow White drew 40% of its ticket sales and 43.5% of its attendance from red counties, which is higher than the norm for family films, typically around 37 and 40% respectively. Not only that, but the highest grossing theater in the theater for the movie is none other than Lake Buena Vista, Florida, at Walt Disney World, smack in the middle of a red state. It seems as though the only political attack lobbed around Snow White came from within the production itself, because they were like, "Oh, you just take her because she's not white." It's like, no, it's Snow White. Her skin is as white as snow. Well, you could have kept her and just makeup or something, but it's Snow White, who is named Snow White because her skin is as white as snow. Like, these are the same people like, why do you care? Why do you care? And they're going all fucking crazy because, oh my god, a black mermaid! She's literally me! November 2024, Rachel Zegler faced significant backlash following a series of social media posts expressing her discontent with the re-election of President Donald Trump. She described a deep sickness in the country and stated, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace." These remarks ignited controversy, leading to the criticism from various public figures, including commentator Megyn Kelly, who labeled Zegler a pig and questioned Disney's continued association with her. In response to the uproar, Zegler issued an apology. Wasn't an apology. Acknowledging that she let her emotion get the best of her and expressed regret for contributing to negative discourse. However, the authenticity of the apology was called into question when people noticed Zegler's grammar and tone has shifted radically from her earlier posts. This is far from Zegler's only controversy that soured audiences on her. Yeah, the dog, weird. Yeah, that pissed a lot of people off. You're supposed to be promoting the movie, but then you're standing there bashing the original 1937. She also stirred controversy by injecting political commentary into promotional posts, such as adding, "And as always, free Palestine." This was the one with this was her like, "Oh my god, thank you so much for all the views on the trailer. Anyway, I have to go, rehearsal for Romeo and Juliet, and as always, free Palestine." When you have this chick right here who served in the Israeli army. Roxas. Hang on, I think Roxas wants to go out. Sorry about that. I wanted to let out Roxas, and then I saw Yukina outside, and she's been gone for like 4 days, so I also had to clean her ear out. She had a huge, it looked like earwax or something, but it was like thick, and it was like on the right there on her ear, on the outside of her ear. So I had to take a washcloth and try to unclump it and get it out. But yeah, just had to feed the babies. Also Adam. Now we're yeah, free Palestine. Free Palestine. The woman served in the Israeli army, and Zegler's one like, "Free Palestine." Like, how tone deaf can you be? Each time, rather than endearing herself to audiences, Zegler seemed to further distance herself from the very fans Disney needed to turn out. Yeah. Disney's decision to hide her from the press tour, favoring tightly controlled appearances, only added to the perception that the studio was trying to minimize her potential to spark further backlash. For months, legacy outlets, Deadline included, were more than happy to suggest that the criticism of Snow White was primarily driven by conservative circles or culture war commentators. Any backlash, they said, could safely be dismissed as politically charged. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's strategic. By including the Steve Buck quote, Deadline is giving itself an out. They continue gesturing towards the controversy in their opening lines, but they slip the facts in quietly, covering themselves and preserving credibility without fully abandoning their preferred narrative. What's more, they shift blame elsewhere. They pivot to discussion about lack of demand for older Disney IP, limited crossover appeal, and general audience fatigue. Yes. Yes. People are tired of soulless live action remakes. We've said this. We've said this. The fact that Disney has this habit of disrespecting the characters. It doesn't matter if they're fictional. The same way that people wouldn't want, stories taken about like African tribes and then making the characters white. They're not real, but because of the certain culture or where the stories are based, these books, these stories, the Brothers Grimm, take place in a white dominated area. So you're not going to see people with brown skin or black skin. So Snow White is Snow White. Her skin is as white as snow. Her hair is black as ebony. Her lips are as red as blood. So when you see Disney disrespecting that, not even putting makeup on chick or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, she's not actually snow. Her skin's not as white as snow. She's called Snow White because she survived a snowstorm when she was a child. It's going to piss people off. It's going to piss people off. And again, people are just tired of soulless remakes. Can I help you, Adam? Come on. Come on. Come on. What is it, Bubba? In truth, audiences, both red and blue, showed up at near normal rates. The film flopped because people rejected it across the boards, not because of partisan politics. Bad PR, creative missteps, and a general rejection of Disney's latest live-action strategy did far more damage than any imagined. Yeah, people are just tired of soulless remakes. Which is why Disney's Snow White bombs at the box office, likely to lose at least $250 million. According to the numbers, the film only grossed $43 million in its domestic opening and added another $44.3 million internationally for a global gross of $87.3 million. Depending on who you ask, the film failed to meet expectations domestically or barely surpassed it. Sean Robbins of Box Office Theory predicted ahead of this weekend that the film would do $42 million domestically, while Anthony D'Alessandro and Nancy Tartaglia, we'll call her Nancy Child, at Deadline, predicted it would do between 45 to 50 million. Rebecca Rubin at Variety also expected it to do between 45 and 50 million. On the global front, both Deadline and Variety expected the film to do around or above 100 million. Interestingly enough, the film is following a very similar trajectory to Marvel Studios' The Marvels, which eventually was yanked from theaters before it even hit 200 million global gross mark. In fact, the Marvels had done better has had a better domestic opening than Snow White, albeit it was carried by a much stronger Friday, while Snow White bested on both Saturday and Sunday. Globally, the Marvels had a 110 million opening. Given poor global box office, Box office analyst OMB reviews predicts the film will likely lose the Walt Disney Company 250 million. So, let's see. Wait, maybe in 300. And if that's where the film ends, guess what? That's 250 million plus, maybe 300 million in financial losses, and that's using the 270 million production budget. With 270 million as your production budget, your break even is between 675 to 810 million, because you also got to take in marketing. Marketing for movies is very expensive, like upwards, like sometimes like $400 million just for marketing. So yeah, this movie is a flop. If you liked it, great, but you liking it does not make it financially successful. Um, so yeah, the movie flopped in every way. The theaters were empty. People were recording themselves like mid movie, and there was like no one in the theaters, no reserved seats at the special like IMAX and this and that. The movie financially, it's not making anything. Um, it's a failure, and for however long they wanted to blame, oh, that's the far right extremists and blah blah blah. No, people are just tired of slop products, of subpar, crappy, soulless remakes. You know, Disney, out of ideas, are now banking on nostalgia. And yet, every single time they do it, it seems to fail. Now, hopefully, the Lilo and Stitch one will be a break from that because, I mean, it looks kind of good, but that's just from the trailer. Um, I was more concerned that they would change like Stitch's look, but no, he looks like Stitch, which is the most important thing. Um, they're gonna make him red. They're gonna race swap him and make him red or purple or something. No, he looks like Stitch, but doesn't mean it's gonna do well. But people are just exhausted. Disney doesn't seem to have any creative ideas anymore. Disney used to be inspiration, innovation, and imagination. They're not that anymore. They're not any of those anymore. Now it's like, hey guys, we got another live action remake. Oh, hey guys, you know that movie from like the 1970s that no one remembers? Live action remake. Hey guys, remember Disney's Hercules? Live action remake, which we're still waiting on that one. They said they were going to do it. We don't know when it's coming out. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Live action remake. I don't even know if that one was introduced either, or not introduced, but announced. You know, it's not just it's not just Disney, it's Hollywood in general. Hollywood has completely run out of ideas, it seems, and now instead they just keep doing remakes and reboots, and so. But this is what we've been saying. It was nothing to do with being political. You just don't disrespect the original 1937 classic just because you have a problem with some of the messages, or you know, you're still supposed to be promoting the movie. You don't be like, oh well, he literally stalked her, weird. Or oh yeah, I didn't even see the first. I was scared of the movie. I never picked it up again, and blah blah blah. You don't do that crap. You don't come out there and insult more than half of the freaking United States by saying, oh, I hope Trump and Trump supporters never know peace. You don't come out there thanking people for watching the trailer and then doing something like, and remember, free Palestine. You don't do that. You're supposed to be promoting the movie and keeping, you know, some good PR, not just totally trashing it. It had nothing to do with politics. She made it political when she wanted to bash more than half of the country. But it didn't start out political. But what else can you get from fucking shelter 20-something-year-old in Hollywood? Anyway. So, yeah, two for the price of one. Two for the price of one. We saw this coming a mile away. We knew how this was going to end. And once again, we were right. And yet we're still called the conspiracy theorists. We're still called phobes and isms. Like the facts showed, the numbers showed that this movie was more successful in red counties. You mean where all those evil racist Trump supporting MAGA live? You're saying it did better there? Huh. That kind of goes against the whole racism thing, doesn't it? Anyway. And again, if you saw the movie and you liked it, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you liked it. But do not sit here and try to tell me that just because you specifically liked it, that it makes it a financial success. It didn't. The movie is a flop. It bombed. It, like the Hindenburg, is just boom, it's going down. It's gone. No one's going to remember this movie. Just like all the other Disney remakes that flopped. No one remembers them, and people are still fond of the originals. So, anyway, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.